Hey everyone, welcome to the Yuri and Alby Living Life in the City podcast. I just want to start off the show by thanking you, our listeners, for all your support. So many thanks to all of you.
And a big thank you from me as well.
Okay, so today we just want to talk about how we do our edits and tricks in editing. So Yuri, I'm going to let you start. Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, Al. I was just telling you, I cannot believe this is our fifth episode already, so that's insane. It's
Yeah, no
going
kidding,
well.
eh?
So happy about that.
Yes, me too.
So back to editing. I was thinking editing used to be tough, right? Back in the day when phones were still stupid, I guess, most of the time you needed a lot of hours, patience, technical know how, and expensive software.
Yeah.
Editing was not just something you had access to. Luckily, today we have hundreds, if not thousands, of apps at our disposal, which can all help us with those much needed editing skills. These editing apps, whether they are on iOS or on Android, they're fast. Most of them come for free or do not cost all too much. And most importantly, they give us access to all those amazing editing features we need, and they really can make us anybody really look like real professionals.
Yeah, no kidding.
With just a few clicks, swipes, you can apply those smart enhancement tools, which make it really easy to edit your pictures. You do have to be on the lookout for those apps, which make it real simple, which are user friendly, powerful, and give results that are incredibly sophisticated. Before I tell you which apps I use, I want to point out how important it is to not overuse these editing features.
Yeah.
That's really important because it's so tempting to throw all those editing magic tools at your picture, but you really need to reel that in a little bit to resist.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you go all out and use all the editing power available onto your fingertips, really, you will end up with a picture that is looking unnatural, and in many cases, if not most, it will be plain ugly.
Yeah.
You just spot that very quickly when it's over edited. I don't know. What do you think, Al? How do you apply your editing skills to your pictures?
So for me, number one thing for me is always when I go into the editing mode is straighten your damn picture. Like I don't like looking at pictures unless it was meant to be tilted or slanted in some way or
Yeah.
a kind of a trick photography where you're looking at something and you wanted it kind of slanted. I suggest everybody to straighten up your pictures because we're not all perfect. We're not always on a tripod or whatnot. We're holding our phones or we're holding, our cameras. So I would say just make sure you're straightening the picture. Kind of look at the distance. If you're doing landscape shots, maybe look at the distance and making sure that the horizon's straightened with your lines on your editing app. That
Yeah.
for me is the number one thing. It's kind of like a pet peeve of mine when I see other people at least at least take the time to straighten out the picture. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean by that?
I do. I do. I have many people who follow me who ask me that as well, and they as well admit that it's a pet, like an obsession almost.
Hmm.
Like they want to just straighten it out, and I do have that as well.
Yeah,
So I totally get that.
yeah. So then for me, the second thing is always about like making the pop factor. What
Yeah.
you and I talked about that pop factor when I first started and the colors. And like I said before, I worked in a photo lab. I was the kind of the special guy with the colors, so I'm really good at colors. You kind of want it to look more natural. And honestly, like with the camera and with your phone and all that stuff, it doesn't always portray how the color should look like
Hmm.
in the camera. Like it doesn't do what you're looking like. It doesn't give it any justice sometimes,
Yeah.
right? And what you have to do for me is normally I'd bump up the color just like a slight bit, and then I mean ever so slightly. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
just like two or three levels maybe, and then you want to see if you want to darken the color or lighten the color to kind of to what you saw, what you remembered with the natural eye.
Yeah.
So is that
Yeah.
something you do as well, or
Yeah. Exactly the same. To me, that editing is about enhancing your picture to make it look what I saw when I was taking that picture.
yeah,
Exactly what you say.
yeah,
To
and
fix those muted colors or to fix the low contrast and off balance light. Because I always use iPhone now,
Hmm.
and even though they take amazing pictures, they're stunning, really, but still they need some upgrading.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I noticed, like, because I worked alongside all the film productions in Vancouver, the colors always had to be bang on. So
yeah,
if location scouts came in, or art decorators came in, or set decorators, like those colors had to be accurate. And if it's not accurate, then obviously, then I'm not doing my job. So I always have this mental note in my head when I see what I'm shooting, that I remember how the colors look like. So
yeah,
this way it gives my followers a better perspective on what I was actually looking at that time.
yeah.
So yeah.
It definitely is about correcting almost those pictures
Hmm.
that, for example, I took with my iPhone, and bringing out the true beauty the way I remember it was
Yes.
at the time I took that picture. It
Yeah.
really is trying to re not invent, but just edit it into that picture you have in your mind
That's
about
right.
that certain moment in time.
So for me, I noticed that when using like my app, the app I use that I'll talk about after, I use the backlight, and I like using that because it kind of it enhances the picture a little bit and brings out
Yeah,
the focus a little bit on particular items that you're shooting. Say if I'm shooting a leaf or something, it kind of brings that out. Or if I'm shooting the mountains or something, it'll bring that out. So I usually like to put in a bit of backlight, and then what I'll do is I'll bump up the saturation on each color, depending what color I'm looking for. And if it's green, it's green. If it's red, it's red. I'll bring it up, but just like a touch. Like I said, it's maybe,
yeah,
1 to 3 levels, and no more than that. Because once you go a little bit more than that, then it gets ridiculous. It doesn't look like the real thing.
yeah. You have to be careful, eh?
Yes, you have to be very
Yeah,
careful. And then I either darken the color or brighten the color depending on what I remember I saw. So it's that
yeah, yeah,
pop factor. The next step I do is the contrast. So contrast for me, I don't like to bump up too high. It's another thing where you just touch a little bit just to sharpen the picture. Like I'm talking 1 or 2 levels and nothing higher.
yeah,
If you go too high, again, like Yuri said, it becomes fake and it
yeah.
doesn't look good.
And grainy sometimes
And
as
very
well.
grainy. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
one thing I did play around with before, I have a couple of photos of some really ominous clouds and shooting Surrey's backdrop, or the Surrey Central with the buildings there. But then the clouds were really ominous. I had a couple shots of downtown as well,
yeah,
and to play tricks of that, like the clouds definitely were pretty ominous that day, but it wasn't to the point where I put it like in my picture. When I put it in the picture, what I did there was I did the backlight, and then I accepted it. I go back out, and then I go back again and hit the backlight to its max again. And then it
yeah.
really creeps out those clouds, and they make it look fake, but it kind of gives a Gotham City look to it too.
Nice.
So it depends. I mean, you can play
Of
around
course.
with pictures and hit like, maximum backlight or maximum reds or
Yeah,
maximum this. I mean, sometimes a picture, the followers know it's fake, or I know it's fake when I look at it. But it's kind of neat, and you kind of look at it and go, oh, actually, that kind of looks pretty cool. So
yeah, sure.
yeah, so sometimes it
It,
works, but we don't like, at least I don't recommend doing that every single time. More being like, if you want to be more professional, just up those levels 1 or 2.
yeah, and it's totally okay. It depends on the mood as well. You can play around with it and have fun. So it doesn't have to be realistic all the times. You can go sometimes wild and have
Yeah.
fun with it.
Yep, of course. So do
Yeah,
you have anything to add to that?
to me as well, what I would like to add is that it's about correcting those pictures and bringing out the vividness,
Hmm.
and sometimes as well the correct exposure, because sometimes when you're outside it's too bright, it's too blue, then afterwards you can just edit and adjust that, and getting the light just right
Hmm.
is really important to me. I focus on that a whole lot.
Yes. Yeah,
I
I
use
noticed in your
apps.
pictures.
Yeah, I it depends on which picture it is, of course. So if I'm talking about a sunset,
Hmm.
then a little bit of extra saturation is gonna do a whole lot to the picture.
Hmm.
But it has to be that gentle touch. Of course, I use apps as well in different ways. Sometimes I use them to remove unwanted subjects
Hmm.
or fix those light leaks. Or sometimes I try just a whole different look by using those preset looks within the app. A bit like what you just mentioned, vintage or sepia or faded glow look, whatever names they give them, because each app is different.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would go back to just have fun with it, try them all out, and see what look you like best.
Yeah. Another thing I can say is too, I have several pictures there that I sometimes post up, or I haven't even posted up yet. And when I looked at it, the color portion of it, I look at it and I'm like, it's not bad. It's a pretty nice picture. And then
Yeah,
as soon as I drop all the colors and go black and white on it, the picture looked freaking amazing. Like I love that look.
yeah,
There's one that I did on the Georgia Viaduct of BC Place and on one of my Instagram posts, and this was quite a while ago. And the color portion of the picture when I played it, like BC Place and Rogers Arena, and then Cirque du Soleil was on the grounds there on Pacific Boulevard. And I looked at it in color. I was like, it's kind of boring. I was on hooing and hawing about posting it a long time ago. And
yeah.
then actually, I had somebody challenge me on a black and white.
Oh
So,
yeah,
so I said, oh hell, why not? Let's just switch this to black and white and see how. And I looked at it, I was like, oh, it's actually one of my favorite pictures now. I really like it. I was like, whoa, once I took the colors out of it, I thought, wow, it looks really sharp. I really like the
yeah,
look of it. And that I
yeah.
posted on July 16th. And I got, at that time, I think I got about 1,400 likes on that picture. And that time I
Nice.
was only getting about 1,000 likes. So
Yeah,
it was coming up and it was giving me more likes, and I was like, yeah, that is a really nice picture. So that's a
yeah.
little trick that you might want to play with some photos, and it may not look good in color, and then you just drop the color out of it, and sometimes it looks amazing.
Yeah, what I want to add to that is myself. I'm a huge fan of black and white
Hmm.
photography. I just love it. When I started my account, I made the decision to stick with colors, to not mix it up, because you
Hmm.
do have two different audiences for this.
That's
You
right.
have people who love black and white and
Yep.
those who don't care much about it.
Yep.
So if you start your account, I would stick with one of the two directions. If you want to grow an audience that love this kind of photography, or
Hmm.
stick with black and white. If you come across my account, you will see that there have been, especially in the last few months or the last year, that there have been black and white pictures because I really want to, and I have been trying out all kind of angles, black and white, and playing around with the black and white tones itself. So I love black and white.
Yeah.
As in, if you want to grow your account, I would put it off a little bit or decide go black and white, go color, and stick with that a bit longer.
Yeah. I think out
Yeah.
of all my pictures, I was just glancing through my pictures right now. I think I have about four black and whites, but I kind of just put it in very
Yeah.
like once every six,
And that's
seven
okay, of
months.
course. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's totally
Yeah.
fine.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's just something to play with, and then I was like, it's kind of neat, and I got challenged anyway, so I was like, yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I did get that challenge as well a few times, and
Yeah.
I kind of ignored it because I told them, said, look, I don't feel comfortable just suddenly throwing seven
You,
black and whites in it, but I did it afterwards eventually.
yeah, you just rude bastard.
I was polite about it. I was really polite,
Yeah, I
but
know you are.
they were like, "Oh, come on," said, "No, maybe another time," and
Yeah,
they understood.
yeah. Let's talk about some of the apps you use.
Sure.
Yep.
Let me see which ones. Snapseed. Of course, for everybody out there, I'm on iOS. I have my Apple phone, so I'm not on Android, so that might be different. But you can talk about
Yeah, I can
Android.
talk about that.
So the Snapseed app, it's a popular one. Many people will know that one. It allows for gentle editing and also has plenty of preset looks available. So it's a really good app. I've been using that since day one.
Okay.
There have been many updates along the way, and it's definitely one that I always go to if I need to do some editing that's more, it's a good app all over.
Yeah.
The next one is Lightroom. That's a very good one. I
Yes,
actually love that one.
I hear that one a lot.
Yeah. It's a free app. You can go paid, but Snapseed, by the way, is as well free. But in the Lightroom, it has a few extra features. And the preset looks are just a tiny bit more creative, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I love to use the purple tones in that one, especially on some of the sunset pictures that I have,
Hmm.
if you just can increase that purple tone, it gives an entire different glow,
It's a nice
and
fuchsia
that's
color to
really
it.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really nice.
yeah.
The other Photoshop app that I use is Photoshop Fix, and that one I use mainly to fix those unwanted subjects I mentioned before,
Hmm.
or light dots that can just pop up unexpectedly.
Yeah.
But it can be really anything that you want to erase from a picture. Sometimes you have this perfect angle, and there's this trash can in the way. You can just make it disappear, and this app really works well, and it's for free.
Oh, okay.
So those three I definitely recommend, and I use them all the time. There are many, many more,
Yeah,
and perhaps in the next episode we can go back to those.
yeah,
There's so many, right? And maybe people can let us know what their favorite app is to edit.
yeah. We want to hear that too, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
How about you? Which ones do you use?
So I'm a very simple guy. Let's put it that way. I played around with Photoshop for a bit. I have a few photos with Photoshop, and I implemented a moon in it or the blood moon in it in a picture, and it looks really cool. I'm not the professional editor on Photoshop. I like to play around with it. Like even my profile picture, that was done with Photoshop, obviously. It has the exploding colors on the camera. I put the city on the camera lens. I put it on my
Yeah,
glasses. I kind of
that's my
played.
favorite one.
Yeah, thanks, man. And I kind of, it took me a while to play with. But
Yeah.
the funny thing is, if you really look at that picture, I wiped out one of the ends in the Canon, and I didn't even realize it. I spent hours on that thing, and I did it. And then somebody's like, "Hey, that's a canoe. You're using a canoe camera," and I'm like, "Yeah,
Oh, I
canoe."
didn't notice that.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh man, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna go back in there and mess around with it anymore." And I just kept it as that. So there's imperfections in that picture besides my mug, but there's imperfections in that picture. Other than that, so there goes my photo editing skills, right? But yeah, Photoshop I'm not bad at. I'm not the best. I really want to learn it. That's something that you can really play around with pictures and really make it fun. You can, blow people up like with make them explode on the side while keeping half their face there.
Yeah.
You can put lions in there, and it's really cool. Like you can put moon and the sun. You can put a city in the mountains. You can do whatever you want, right?
Oh yeah.
It's a great app. But it's a lot of learning. And one of these days, I'm going to sit my ass down and really learn that thing, and
Yeah.
probably help me with some of my pictures. So my thing I use the app that's on my phone. I have a Samsung Galaxy 10. I've been using ever since I've went switched over. I had the first four iPhones. I used to be a big iPhone junkie, and then I went into the Samsung market. And the first week I had my Samsung phone, I really wanted to chuck it out the window because usually I use my work emails and all that stuff on there too. So I need a bigger phone, and I want something that works pretty smoothly. Here we are talking about phones, but anyways, I went into the Samsung, and unless I really love this phone for the quality of the pictures. It's always been good.
Yeah.
I started on the Samsung 7, and now I got the 10. And the in app for these phones for editing are amazing. Like it's just that easy. You put the phone. I just use like I said, I just use the app inside the phone. It has everything in there. You can't
Yeah.
take out objects. You can't put in objects. You can't put spacing and say, I'm going to just highlight the top part of this picture or the bottom part. But if you're taking pictures like good enough, then this is that quick. It's that simple to edit. It doesn't take me very long. Each photo takes me no more than, I would say, 5 minutes to edit or 3 minutes to edit. It doesn't take me long at all.
Yeah.
And everything I take on my Canon, if I'm using my Canon, then I just shoot it, transfer it over to my phone, and I do all my edits on my phone. So
Oh yeah.
unless I really want to do specialized edits, and that will be into Photoshop. And out of all my, like, I think I have a little over 400 posts right now. I think
Yeah.
there's only about four photos that I actually used Photoshop. The rest were all from the InPhone app.
That is pretty impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
it's kept pretty simple, and again, I don't find like I waste a lot of time on editing at all. So it's very quick, and I find it like I can just do it on the fly even, and people are like, "Oh, you're done." Sometimes there's been times where a couple of my friends, they take a shot or something, and I go, damn, that's a nice photo, man. And then he's like, no, it's okay. I go, just send it to me. And then they text it to me, and then I do it, and I whip it back to them within 3 minutes. And they're like, holy crap, like, look at that. That's a nice photo. I'm like, yeah, I told you. Like, you can tell where the nice photos, like how they look, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
some people just don't know how to really edit. Yeah. Anything to add?
Well, I think I would point out that it's just to think of using editing as a very subtle way.
Mm-hmm.
To use a subtle editing touch is what I would suggest.
Yeah.
And then to just play around.
Yes.
And just download those free apps first.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely go for the free ones. See what they can give you. And as you say, once you get the hang of them, and it just takes you a few minutes.
Yeah.
So
It's just a whole learning curve at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, that's all. That's the time that it takes, but that's only once.
Yeah. Like I said, just play around, like you say, just play around
Yeah,
because you never know. Sometimes you bump up those reds and bump up those blues, and next thing you know, you're like, wow, I like it this way. It may look different to the natural eye, but maybe it looks kind of better that way, and it looks different. It's just something different. Like I said, everything's shot to death out there. So sometimes looking at making it look different makes it, more appealing, right?
exactly.
Yeah, so like, and again, dropping colors and all that stuff, that's another thing. Go black and white maybe once in a while, and like you say, maybe keep it to the color spectrum for a while, and then move it to chuck a black and white in there if you want, and then move it again back to colors, sort of thing. Yeah, play with it, learn to use it, learn to like it, and don't think that you're the only one editing out there. Anybody that's serious about Instagram or posting photos, I can tell you right now, those serious people, all of them are editing. There's probably nobody that's not editing out there.
No, everybody does it.
Yeah, everyone does
Definitely.
it. If you're
Of
serious
course.
about it. If you're
Yeah.
just doing, I say if you're just doing family shots or selfies, then it's the softening of the face if you guys want to do that. But then, making sure your pictures are straight, that's the main thing. And then
That's the first step.
yeah, that's the first step, and making sure like your colors and all that. But like I said, if you're doing portraits or if you're doing, then you guys are professionals. You guys know what you're doing already. But if you're doing landscape photography or anything like that, I would suggest edit because everyone else does it out there, and you
But
want to step
I
up.
would add to that even the professional ones,
Yes,
they edit.
of course. Yeah,
They're just better at it than we
that's
are,
right.
but they do it as well.
Or they do it with their lens. So
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so again, thanks for listening to our show. If you like our show, kindly hit the subscribe or follow button on whatever platform you're listening to. You may want to hit notifications so then we know that our show's out, our episode's out. I really don't want to be pestering you guys on Instagram and posting all my crap saying it's out, another episode's out. I really want to get away from that, and I don't want to bog down my feeds. But we appreciate all of you. Please hit the like button if you like it, and that's it. Have yourself a
See you
great
next
night.
week.
All right, take care.